Tennis legend Serena Williams has recently drawn attention to a New York City hotel after expressing discomfort with a decorative cotton plant displayed in one of its hallways. The 44-year-old athlete, widely regarded as one of the greatest tennis players in history, took to Instagram to share her thoughts with her followers, sparking a conversation about historical symbolism, cultural sensitivity, and a lasting impact of slavery in the United States. In an Instagram story posted during her stay at the unnamed hotel, Williams filmed a vase containing a cotton plant positioned on a hallway table. Addressing her millions of followers, she asked candidly, "All right, everyone, how do we feel about cotton as decoration?" Her tone was curious but also tinged with unease. "Personally, for me, it doesn't feel great," she added. The image of raw cotton, while seemingly innocuous to some, carries deep and painful connotations for many African Americans. Historically, the cotton plant is not just an agricultural product, but a symbol of the brutal era of American slavery, during which millions of enslaved Africans were forced to labor in cotton fields under dehumanizing and violent conditions. For Williams, who is African American, the casual use of cotton as a decorative object understandably evoked discomfort, bringing to the surface a painful legacy that continues to shape the lived experiences of Black Americans today. To understand the weight of Williams' reaction, it's important to revisit the role that cotton played in American history. By the early 19th century, the cotton industry had become a cornerstone of the Southern economy. It was so lucrative that it earned the nickname King Cotton. According to U.S. historical data, by 1820, around 95% of the African American population in the country was enslaved, many of whom were forced to work on cotton plantations. The demand for cotton, especially from textile mills in Europe and the northern U.S., drove the expansion of slavery westward, leading to increased human suffering and the entrenchment of white supremacy in the American South. The labor was backbreaking. Enslaved individuals, including children, worked from sunrise to sunset in extreme heat, picking sharp cotton bolls by hand, which often left their fingers bloodied and torn. These fields were places of violence and suffering, a reality passed down through generations. For African Americans, particularly those whose ancestors were enslaved, cotton is not just a crop. It's a symbol of systemic oppression and generational trauma. Decorating modern spaces with raw cotton, especially without context, risks minimizing or erasing that painful history. It can come across as thoughtless or even offensive, particularly in settings like high-end hotels where luxury, privilege, and curated aesthetics often fail to acknowledge the cultural significance of certain symbols. Williams didn't just question the decorative choice. She physically interacted with the display. In a follow-up story, she picked up a piece of the cotton from the arrangement and spoke directly to the camera. "So actually, it feels like nail polish remover cotton. Unnatural," she remarked, wincing and stepping briefly out of frame. Her reaction seemed visceral and honest, capturing a moment of real discomfort. She rubbed the cotton across her fingernail, almost as if trying to make sense of the object, then shuddered again. Her body language said what words didn't need to. The object struck a nerve. Her story instantly sparked debate online. While many fans and cultural commentators praised her for using her platform to highlight an issue rooted in historical trauma, others argued that cotton as a decorative item was harmless and that her response was overly sensitive. This kind of polarized reaction is not new. Conversations around race, history, and representation often elicit strong emotions and divergent viewpoints. But what Williams' post did achieve was drawing attention to an under-discussed topic: how objects and symbols in public or commercial spaces can unconsciously perpetuate historical pain or exclusion. Interestingly, this is not the first time Serena Williams has publicly called out a luxury hotel. In 2024, she made headlines after sharing her experience at the five-star Peninsula Paris Hotel, where she claimed she and her children were denied a table at its exclusive rooftop restaurant. Williams posted about the incident online, leading many to speculate whether race or celebrity bias played a role. The hotel later issued an apology, clarifying that the rooftop had been fully booked and that the seemingly available tables were reserved for another dining area. Nonetheless, the incident highlighted how even globally recognized figures like Williams are not immune to the subtle slights and systemic barriers that often affect people of color, even in the most elite spaces. At the time of the cotton decor incident, Williams was in New York City supporting the launch of a collaboration between Kim Kardashian's Skims brand and Nike. While her presence at the event was meant to celebrate inclusivity and female empowerment in sport and fashion, the hotel controversy brought an unexpected shift in focus, one that illuminated a lingering cultural blind spot. Recently, Williams has also faced criticism for her partnership with Ro, a telehealth company that produces GLP-1 medications, drugs commonly used for weight loss. Some question whether her endorsement of such products might conflict with her long-standing advocacy for body positivity and healthy living. The controversy underscores the scrutiny that public figures like Williams face, particularly when they engage with topics related to health, wellness, and identity. The cotton decoration controversy reignites an ongoing conversation about the responsibilities of public-facing industries, particularly hospitality, design, and retail, to be more culturally aware and inclusive. Hotels, restaurants, and luxury venues are increasingly catering to a global clientele, and with that comes the responsibility to create environments that are not only beautiful, but also respectful of diverse cultural histories. Using cotton as a decorative element may seem stylish or rustic to some designers, especially those aiming for a Southern or vintage aesthetic. But in the absence of historical context or sensitivity to its cultural weight, such choices can feel tone-deaf or even offensive. This is especially true in multicultural urban hubs like New York City, where guests come from all backgrounds and experiences. Designers and hoteliers would do well to consider the meanings behind the materials they use. Something as seemingly small as a cotton branch can carry vastly different meanings depending on who's looking at it. Serena Williams has long used her voice to challenge systems of inequality on and off the court. Whether confronting sexism in tennis, racism in media, or unjust treatment in elite spaces, she has never shied away from speaking her truth. Her willingness to call out discomfort, even in the form of a hallway decoration, may seem minor to some, but for many, it represents the ongoing need to examine how our environments and the symbols we take for granted reflect or erase history. By asking a simple question, how do we feel about cotton as decoration? Williams opened the door to a larger dialogue about memory, trauma, and awareness. And that, in itself, is a powerful act. All right, that's it for now. See you next time. And hey, don't forget to subscribe.